It is lovely to see you here, even though it has to be said the weather is not as kind as we hoped. It is much, much better than it was last year. So we are able to go up the Tor today. This is the 11th year that we have been performing this Good Friday Passion, which is wonderful. So we're starting, we from Brentor Church, all of us from the churches around here, we are starting in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus went with his disciples to the olive grove called Gethsemane. And he said,
"Sit over here while I go over and pray."
And he took Peter and Zebedee's son, John, away from the crowd. Then he became anguished and distressed. So he told them,
"My soul is crushed with grief, to the point of death. Stay, keep watch with me."
He went on a little further, bowed his face to the ground, and prayed.
"My Father, if it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. Yet not what I want, but what you do."
Then he returned to the disciples and found them asleep. He said to Peter,
"Couldn't you keep watch with me just 1 hour? Keep watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. For the spirit is willing, but the body is weak."
Then Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived with a crowd of people, armed with swords and clubs.
"You will know which one to arrest when I greet him with a kiss,"
said Judas.
"Follow me."
And as soon as they arrived, Judas walked up to Jesus. Then the others grabbed him and arrested him. They had taken Jesus to the high priest's house. At daybreak, the elders of the people assembled, including the leading priests and the teachers of religious law. Jesus was led before this council, and the high priest Caiaphas asked Jesus,
"Tell us, are you the Messiah?"
"If I tell you, you won't believe me. And if I ask you a question, you won't answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the place of power at God's right hand."
So, are you claiming to be the Son of God?
"You say that I am."
And you need other witnesses.
Meanwhile, Peter was sitting outside the courtyard, and then a servant girl came over.
You were brothers with Jesus, the Galilean.
But Peter denied it in front of everyone.
No, I don't know what you're talking about."
Later, outside the gate, the servant girl spoke to those standing around.
This man was with Jesus of Nazareth.
Again, Peter denied it.
"I don't even know the man."
A little later, one of the bystanders came back over to Peter.
You must be one of them. We can tell by your Galilean accent.
"A curse on me if I'm lying. I do not know the man."
Suddenly, Jesus' words flashed through Peter's mind.
"Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times."
And Peter went away, weeping bitterly. Very early in the morning, the leading priests, the elders, and the teachers of religious law, in fact, the whole council, met to discuss their next step.
So, what are we to do with him?
He's a blasphemer.
He mocks all the laws of our tradition.
He will rouse the people against us.
Who knows what the Romans will say when they hear a Jew says he's a king.
He will anger them, and they will kill him all.
It must be done with. It's better that one man die for the people than the whole nation perish.
You would have us shed this blood.
No.
So they bound Jesus, led him away, and took him to Pilate, the Roman governor. At the palace of the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, he asked him,
Are you the king of the Jews?
You have said it.
He claimed to be a king.
He's probably a man.
He's an extremist revolutionary.
He tries to seize power.
Can you really claim to be holding this province for your emperor if you let him get away with this?
Aren't you going to answer them? What about all these charges they're bringing against you?
The only reason I was born was to testify to the truth.
What is truth?
Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They put a purple robe on him. Carrying the cross, he went to the place called Place of the Skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. Jesus fell, and the soldiers called to Simon of Cyrene to carry the cross. A large crowd trailed behind, including many grief-stricken women, but Jesus turned to them.
Daughters of Jerusalem, don't weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For the days are coming when they will say, fortunate indeed are the women who are childless, the wombs that have not borne a child, and the breasts that have never nursed. People will beg the mountains, fall on us, and plead with the hills, bury us. For if these things are done when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry?
On the desolate hilltop place called the Skull, they nailed him to the cross.
Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing.
One thief said, "So, you're the Messiah, are you? Prove it by saving yourself, and us too, while you're at it." The other thief said, "Don't you fear God, even when you've been sentenced to die? We deserve to die for our crimes, but this man hasn't done anything wrong."
I assure you, this day you will be with me in paradise.
Standing near the cross were Jesus' mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. They and the disciple John stood near the cross, and Jesus saw his mother standing there beside the disciple he loved.
Dear woman, this is your son. John, this is your mother.
And by this time, and darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. The light from the sun was gone. Suddenly, the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple that separated the holiest place from the world was torn down the middle.
Father, into Into your hands I commit my spirit.
And with that, he breathed his last.
Surely this was a righteous man.
All Jesus' friends, including the women that followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance, watching these things, grieving for his death. A man named Joseph of Arimathea took down the body and wrapped it in a long sheet of linen cloth, and he placed it in his own tomb.
Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me.
Rolled a great stone across the entrance and left. You might wonder why we still mark the occasion all these years later. But the Easter story doesn't end on Good Friday. It's what happens next that is more important. 2 days later, Jesus' followers discovered that Jesus had not stayed in the tomb. They met him, alive and in the flesh. Jesus overcame death, and by following him, he invites us to do the same. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me will have life, even if they die. Thank you, everybody, for coming.